From simple acts of charity to some of the biggest things he's ever done. Join me as I reveal to you LeBron James' greatest moments on and off the court.
Kobe!
With an incredible play.
And I believe Darren Williams tried to dunk it.
12th three-pointer of the game.
Number 7. I Promise School. Let's be honest here, most of the time we see LeBron James as a swanky basketball star who has hundreds of millions of dollars to spend, likes to hang out with his friends, and tries to dominate basketball when he can. And he is all that. But he's also a lot more because he knows what it's like to have a rough upbringing and then get a chance of a lifetime. So, not only does he do charity work, he spends his own money to try and get kids off the street and into school. So much so that he made the I Promise School that is in Akron, Ohio, his hometown. The point of this school is simple. It's to go and help at-risk kids in the area and make sure that they get the education they need to live the life that they deserve. LeBron himself opened the school and 250 kids were enrolled in it during his opening. Could you imagine what it'd be like if superstars who had the money to burn like LeBron did things like this? The whole school system could be changed. Number 6 goes to the finals. Alright, let's head to basketball now and talk about one of the key things that helped define LeBron, his ability to perform. He was drafted by Cleveland in 2003, and he was brought in to help them win a championship. But since he was just 18 and he didn't even do college, a lot of people wondered whether he'd be able to perform at a high level, despite some of the refining that he forgoed. Admittedly, the first couple years weren't the greatest of the bunch, as the team still had to grow around LeBron. But then in the 2006-2007 season, the Cavaliers got it all together in a major way, and they went from a simple playoff team to the Eastern Conference champions, beating some good teams along the way. The fact that LeBron, at just 22, was not only doing this, but was leading them to victory over teams that many feel they shouldn't have won against was very telling. Now, yes, once they got to the NBA Finals, it was a different story. They were swept out of the finals by the much superior San Antonio Spurs, and they wouldn't get back to the finals until the 2015 season, which they lost for the record. But still, it was a sign of things to come. Big things to come. Cleveland was clearly on the rise with LeBron, or so they thought. Number 5, the decision. I know some of you will hate me for saying that the decision was one of his greatest moments, when in reality, it's more like one of his most controversial moments ever. But whether you loved or hated that decision, you can't deny that it's a key part of his career, and it's something that will follow him for the rest of his life and will help define his legacy. Let me set the scene for you, okay? Cleveland had once again lost in the NBA playoffs without getting to the finals. What's more, they lost to their rivals in the Boston Celtics. LeBron left the floor by taking off his jersey, signifying that he was done with Cleveland. But the question was, where would he go? The floodgates opened as multiple teams tried to get LeBron to come to them. But slowly and surely, one team rose above and lured him in. The whole setup of the decision was arrogant to a T, including a SportsCenter special building the hype levels up to absurdity. Even the announcing team noted how absurd it was. Then, sure enough, it was a very awkward and weird moment as LeBron James said, "I'm taking my talents to South Beach."
In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
The whole thing was mocked and ridiculed and even parodied on the ESPY Awards the following year. It showed in many people's minds that LeBron felt he was above the game, so much that he deserved that special. And that's why it'll haunt him for the rest of his career and beyond. Number 4, the Heat. Okay, now going back to positives, when he did go to the Miami Heat, it was a big deal. The team was already great because of D-Wade, who had already won them a title alongside Shaquille O'Neal, but it had been a while since that greatness. So, thus, bringing in Bosh and James proved that they wanted to get titles. Now sure, we could point out that James was so confident in their skills that they would win not 5, not 6, not 7, but we'd rather point out how they did indeed win. In his 4 years with the Heat, they went to the finals every single time. They lost the first time against the Dallas Mavericks and then won the next 2 before losing to the San Antonio Spurs. LeBron getting those 2 rings was huge for him. It was validation that he wasn't a no-ring king and that he could win titles. Though to many, he still had unfinished business. Number 3, he did it for Cleveland. There's a lot of LeBron moments we couldn't put on this list, but one that really punctuated his career was when he came back to Cleveland after winning 2 titles with the Miami Heat. Despite having a 3-1 deficit to the dominant Golden State Warriors, came back and won the title for Cleveland. The moment of him on the ground, realizing he fulfilled his promise, was very touching. And I'm sure a lot of people forgave him that night for the decision. But more than that, it helped cement him as a player who could win from behind. Back against the wall and without legendary players like Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. Yes, many people will point out that he had Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving with him, and that they saved the series a few times, but that's beside the point. He was brought into Cleveland to elevate Cleveland to a title, and eventually, finally, he did it. Number 2, the last second shot against Magic. LeBron James is one of the best players in the history of the game. That is a fact. But like all great players, he needed to show that he had the potential to win games at the last minute and in the last seconds of the game. No game punctuated this more than when he did a buzzer beater against the Orlando Magic in the Eastern Conference Finals. Cleveland was down. Seconds were on the clock. They gave it to LeBron and he drained it. Number 1, Lakers. This is a moment still in development, but in truth, it could be a landmark one in its own right. After winning the title for Cleveland and failing to get a second, LeBron knew he was done there for good, so he decided to move once again, this time to the Los Angeles Lakers. He went there to finish his career and add to the Lakers dynasty. It was a move of legendary proportions and his disastrous consequences at first, as LeBron had one of his worst years when he started off in LA. But the current season, which is suspended at present, felt like a major turnaround and the Lakers were dominant. Could LeBron win a title in LA? Possibly. And if he does, it'll be another moment for the list. And there you have it, everyone, a list of moments on and off the court that helped define LeBron James. Which of these moments do you think best encapsulates his career? Do you think there's a big moment we left off? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the channel.